You're listening to the Holistic Lifestyle Guide podcast, the show that guides you on your holistic lifestyle journey to a healthy body, mind, and soul aligned with nature. Hello, and welcome to episode number 31 of the Holistic Lifestyle Guide podcast. This podcast is going to be all about meal planning. It's basically going to be a beginner's guide to meal planning. So if you've never meal planned before, this is going to be perfect for you. If you've done it and it didn't really work, this is also going to be perfect for you. So first, the thing I want to talk about is why meal planning is so important. Why am I making a podcast episode about planning your meals? So, you might be wondering why you can't just throw together a quick grocery list. Is that good enough? That is not technically meal planning. So meal planning is actually a huge task. This is why people avoid it, and they just eat whatever they can find whenever they want to eat. But that only leads to falling down the same unhealthy path. That leads to a lot of wasted money from thrown away food. So the key to eating healthy is meal planning. Yes, it is a big task, but the payoff is so worth it. So how do you start planning your meals? The first thing you have to do is be sure that you have the motivation to really do this. Planning is fun, especially if you are a planner addict like me, but this does take time and mental effort. You have to decide if you are truly ready to commit to this. So when I say it takes time, it can take, maybe a half an hour to an hour to do your meal planning, depending on how many people you have in your household or the length of time that you're planning for. I usually do it for 3 weeks to 4 weeks because that is usually how much food I have in my house at any given time. That way I can run through all my groceries without needing to go buy more. So it can take me up to an hour to plan for that length of time. So after you have decided that you are committed and you can do this, then you can buy a planner. Meal planners are your best friend. They are just the way to do it. You can buy spiral bound books. I'm not even sure if they make them in stores. I mean, I'm sure there are, but I've never actually looked because I like to make them myself. So I make mine printable or digital. I have versions of both available in my Etsy shop. And so what I like to do is I use the printable pages. They're my favorite because then every week or every month I can just print off another copy. And some people like digital, so I did make some digital ones. I actually have the same one available in digital or printable, and then I've got another separate printable one that's just another different type with different types of pages. So they can vary depending on which one you buy, and you want to find one that has monthly, weekly, and daily sections at the very least. This is a bare bones version of a meal planner. You can certainly go that route if you are looking for simple, fast, easy, and cheap. Even more simplistic would be just a basic weekly meal planner with just 1 week, if you only want to take it 1 week at a time. And you can also get ones that have meal planners, with a grocery list in it, and I have those in all of mine, both of mine I should say, because what's a meal planner without space to write your grocery list? So you can also fill out pages that are almost like a journal, and those are some included in the ones that I make, because you want to really make this a science. This is what makes it so fun. You can think of foods that you want to add to your diet. Write them down in a list. You can write down a list of foods that you want to take out of your diet. You can write down recipes you want to try. You can even keep track of your recipe experiment results. So there's a lot of fun pages like that I put in my journals and my workbooks, meal planners, whatever you want to call them. So what are the benefits of using a meal planner? The first benefit that you might notice is that it's fun, especially if you already love planners and organization. To me, it's just as fun to plan my meals and go grocery shopping as it is to actually cook and eat the food. So if you're like me in that way, if you love to plan things, if you love to go grocery shopping, if you love cooking, if you love eating, then you'll probably love meal planning. So another benefit of meal planning is that you save money. One of the biggest wastes in this world is expired or rotten food, and it really adds up. I mean, think about it. Almost every day you probably throw some food away. So just imagine that every time you throw a blob of food, it doesn't even have to be a whole plate, but even just some scraps, that might be $1 worth of food right there. So 3 meals a day, that adds up. You could be spending $15 to $20 a week on food you're throwing away. So when you just buy whatever and eat it whenever, that will lead to food that gets forgotten in the back of your fridge, forgotten in your cupboard, and so that'll also lead to an unhealthy diet because unless you buy all healthy food, that might work, but, not everybody can buy all healthy food because when they're in the grocery store, they lose track of what they wanted. They see things that look good and they buy them. But when you're using a meal planner, you actually make your grocery list according to the meals that you're planning. So you're only writing down what you're going to buy. And you're only writing down things that are ingredients for those meals. That is how you save money. So another benefit is that you actually will stay on track with your healthy eating goals. So if you're trying to lose weight or eat healthier, then meal planning is your friend. Think of it as like a personal coach, keeping you organized, keeping you on track. It's hard to mess up your diet when you don't buy any unhealthy food in the first place. It's also hard to mess up when, you got a month's worth of meals all planned out down to the last ingredient, because each day you already know what you have to do. There's, no sudden confusion on, oh no, I don't have anything made. I don't even know what to make. So you shuffle through your cupboards and your brain's going crazy trying to think, do I have all the ingredients for that? And then you think, no, I don't have this, so I gotta make something else. And then it's just a mental struggle that's unnecessary. Because if you meal plan, you'll never have that problem. And another reason why meal planning is awesome is because it helps you to implement new foods into your diet, and it makes sure that you actually eat them. A few pages from my work, from my meal planners actually are made for this purpose. To write down lists of new foods you want to try, and then you can also write down the meals that those foods will be in. So, let's say you want to start eating kale more often, and so you research. This does take some research. I mean, if you want to try new foods, research what meals you can make using kale, and then you write those down, and then the meal planners actually have sections for you to record if you like something or not. So that way, you can go back and look if that particular recipe was something you want to try again. And you can also write down all these foods you want and how often you want to eat them. That way, let's say you want to make sure that you eat an apple every day. So rather than just have the apple sitting out and remember to eat one, you can actually write it on your meal planner and schedule it out. So let's say you buy a pack of 10 apples, you can schedule it out and you can know exactly when you're going to run out. Or if you want to ration them, you can space between each day that you eat it some more time, so that you don't run out until you go to the grocery store again. This is a science, and this might be a little bit picky for some people. Not everybody has the time or the inclination to do this, but I think it's super fun. I just love it. So, this also solves the problem of, trying a new thing and then, let's say you buy a new vegetable you've always wanted to try and you put it in the refrigerator. It gets pushed further back behind other things. So let's say you make leftovers, the next day you eat the leftovers and you can't see the vegetable because it keeps getting shoved to the back. And before you know it, your vegetable is now too old to eat, and then it goes in the garbage, wasting money and keeping you stuck in your old eating habits. So to stop that insanity, that is why meal planning was invented, and it is so worth it. So like I said, I have some meal planners available if you want a cheap option. Like I said, you might be able to find one. Like, I'm sure you could go on Amazon and look for a spiral-bound physical meal planner. But I like to go the cheap route because I like to live frugally, and I know a lot of people are living on a budget. So my meal planners are a couple dollars. And the best thing about printable meal planners is when you fill out a page, you can just print another one without having to buy another one. That's not the case with the spiral-bound physical ones. You fill it up. You might fill it up in a month, depending on how long it is, how long it has room for. And who wants to be buying new planners all the time? So that's one of the main reasons why I started making printables, because after you use them, you can just print another one. You buy it once, you got it for life. So, whatever you want to write on each of these pages, it's completely fine. And then you might mess up and just throw it away, print a new one. That's the beauty of printables. So I'm going to leave a link down below in the show notes for those printable and digital meal planners. I actually have a video that I'll also link to where you can see what's all in those pages. There's a lot of pages to them. I think one of them has like 9 pages. The other one has like 12 or 13 pages. So you can check those out. So that's it for this week's episode of Holistic Lifestyle Guide Podcast. Don't forget to join me next week for another episode. And thank you so much for listening.